There we go.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's me, San Martin, and Eric. And we are here on a Monday. And oh my gosh, I got a lot to talk about, but we also got a special guest. So before we do that, let's just get started. Welcome to the 863 Morning Show with your host, San Martin Rodriguez and Eric Knight.
There you go. All right, we're back.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing, Eric?
I'm doing well. It was a crazy weekend.
My gosh, man, I'm still trying to come down from that natural high.
Wow.
Eric,
I have so many people to thank for this weekend.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you have some time to go ahead and say thank you to everybody?
So everybody that put everything together this weekend was awesome. Then Logan with I can't think. Squealing Hog. There we go.
The Squealer.
He fed us, and then Ryan over at Hungry Badger also fed us.
Oh my gosh!
And then
that was amazing.
They hooked us up over at Founding Fathers. We had a great room. It was a great weekend event. So many cool things, and then also the brewery also helped out. So
yeah, I didn't get any of that. So
it was good. We won't talk about that. But anyway,
we're not going to talk about
the day. Don't forget the day.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, it is National Daiquiri Day.
National like strawberry daiquiri.
I'm guessing that's what they're talking
with
about.
With liquor, without.
Didn't say. So
well.
Where would you go?
I don't know. I don't drink daiquiri. Okay, so besides all of that awesomeness that happened last week, we have a lot of stuff that's coming up to, the elections of Prescott. We ended up chatting with Brandon Montoya this past weekend, and we are bringing him here right now, like literally right now. Come on in, Brian.
Let's get this over.
I'm going to set this stuff up. We should have probably set it up before, like
that's like professionals. Yeah,
we're all professionals.
There we go. There he is. All right,
I like the courthouse in the background.
Oh yeah, we do.
You can scoot this way. There you go.
Yeah, give it a little bit. We might have to use a white screen right here.
here.
Okay, cool, man. See, you can't put too many big heads in one little screen. I'm sorry, I got the biggest head here. Okay, so everybody is wanting to know a lot of things. I mean, especially all the mailers that are coming in, and it's really throwing shade. And I feel like that's not what Prescott's all about. So I mean, it's just been really, really hard for political life. It's been hard in general for anybody to be running an office. So I commend anybody that wants to step into this position, or even to help make sure that our community is good. So Brandon, I mean, obviously, let's just talk about all the mailers that are coming in. First of all, just get it all done.
Yeah. So for me, I think it's hard. You do this, you step up to serve your community. And I think that's you hit the nail on the head, Martin. What it comes down to is everyone who's running this race, while we may disagree about the future of Prescott and what that looks like, I think everyone cares about Prescott. And so for me, I think it's hard to see, postcards coming from down in Scottsdale. If you look at some of these postcards that have these, scary pictures of me and Eric Moore and Phil Good, it's not even a local group here, and so I think that's one thing to keep in mind. And the other thing I would say is that I've looked at those postcards and nothing on them is true. And I think that's really frustrating. I don't think anyone likes to have lies told about them or misrepresentations done. And I just want to me, the vast majority of people I've talked to have said, this stuff doesn't really feel good to see, and this isn't what Prescott's about. And I think that's really true. I think for me, when I look at this stuff, I just throw it away. Or normally I would. Now I can't. Now I got to look at them. But normally when I get this stuff in the mail, I just throw it away. And I think that's what most people do. I think people really care about knowing about the issues, knowing where people stand on things, and what their vision for Prescott is.
All right. Okay. So these are some of the things that are the accusations. There is a group called Prescott Indivisible, and they are getting the prime, like, hey, you are affiliated, you are part of it. I mean, over time, there has been like speculations that you are. You could be possibly.
What is it? What is it?
Prescott Indivisible is supposed to be a nonpartisan group where they come together and do their thing. But as I went into their group, I easily found out that that's not the case. They are, definitely on a, I guess, a Democratic feel good or whatever it is. Oh wait, not dropping Feel Good's name, but anyways, these things right here are something that they attack me. I'm going to say it right now. They attack me. They attack the businesses of Prescott. They have list of people that are not applying to certain things, and it's just like, I don't understand kind of like why that they did that and why they are going that route. But it really honestly struck a lot of nerve when you got that little thing in the paper.
Right. Well, I'll tell you a couple things. So, and I was trying to explain this to someone, and I think I kind of found a way to kind of mention it in a way that makes sense. So, Prescott Indivisible, there are people who are engaged in politics here locally, and from what I've seen on their website, a lot more nationally than locally, really. But that being said, there's another, when you start running for office, and I think we talked about this weekend, you got to go and talk to a lot of people, especially someone like me. I wasn't, I didn't have a huge name recognition in this race, so I had to get my name out there and my message out there. And so I went and talked to Prescott Indivisible, and I was focused on the three issues that I've always been focused about in this election, which are growth, water, and transparency in government. That's it. Those are the things that I'm talking to everyone about. I don't care if I'm speaking at Citizen Tax Committee, which is a far more conservative organization than Prescott Indivisible, or if I'm talking to Prescott Indivisible, or if I go to, a VFW hall and talk there. And that's the thing. Let's say that I did go to a VFW hall here in Prescott and talk to them. That doesn't mean that I'm a veteran of a foreign war, right? Like, that just means that those are people who vote in this election, and I want them to hear what I have to say. And so my effort to reach out to those folks was mostly to educate them about where I stand, what the issues are. And I think this is the thing. This is a nonpartisan election for a reason. And it's because you don't have to be Democrat. You don't have to be Republican. You can be an independent like me and really care about the things that are important for Prescott's future. And I think the thing that you said to me that is concerning is I think we need to have a positive engagement with businesses here in this community. I'm a small business owner myself. I think, a lot of the people in this race are running who are small business owners. Grant, Eric Moore, Eric Moore and Jessica Hall and myself, and Jim Lamerson too, for that matter, and Steve Blair. So a lot of people are small business owners. I think in this community, and this is the thing that I think bothered me most about those mailers, is it's maligning two people here who are local business people. And that's one of the reasons that stops people from engaging this kind of work to be a public servant, is that they get attacked. And you're kind of like, well, why would I do this? Because I'm going to have to open the mailbox and see nasty things about me and lies told about me. And then I'm going to have to deal with the consequences of maybe people won't want to do business with me because they'll think that, oh, well, I saw this postcard of you and it says that you want to do, educate white people about racism. It's just, none of that's true. And it's, to me, it has to come back to the issues, and to your point that you talked about this weekend is, I think we need to lift up businesses, especially after this pandemic. This was a particularly difficult time for a lot of local businesses, and some businesses fared better than others. But I think the reality is we need to come together as a community and lift up businesses.
So where are these mailers coming from? That's what everybody wants to know.
No, that's a great question. So they're coming out of, there's a group called Arizona Residents Council, and they're based out of Scottsdale. And that's it. And then if you go and look at their organization on the Corporation Commission, there's a guy named Robert Dwyer who seems to be affiliated. And I will tell you this group actually got dinged for a campaign finance violation for doing the exact same thing in a Scottsdale race. So I don't think these are people who are really invested in Prescott is what it comes down to. I don't know that you can
technically not invested in Prescott.
Yeah, sure.
Not yet.
Okay. Fair enough. My point is, they're not people like you and me who are locals here who, it's one thing, if a local group says, this is how we feel about Brandon, I'm happy to but these guys have no idea who I am or what I'm about.
Okay, so the thing is that the groups that are actually rising up to cancel out, the cancel culture, I know that's the actual word that came out and stuff in general, but these are the things that really worried me. And then the time that you had the opportunity to go speak with these people, these organizations are spreading like wildfire to defund the police, to cancel out anybody that's not following along the guidelines of the Democratic Party. And it is what it is. I'm sorry for talking politics, but these are the things that scare me in general.
Your headlines say politics.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry, guys. It is what it is. It is local Prescott, so I have to say something. And these things right here really scared me. They really honestly made me feel as if I had to go find an organization or a group and not be independent and just like, hey guys, you guys just go ahead and have your whatever, just let us live.
Right.
And that hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings so much that I had people lash out at me that wouldn't confirm who they were. They were standing behind a fake name, what we call catfish online now.
Sure.
And they're standing behind these fake little profiles. What are you going to do to help stop that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the thing is, the first thing you have to do is really be engaged and listen to everybody, right? And I think if you start with that beginning in mind, of like, okay, we're gonna make this so that every voice feels heard, and then you kind of set a tone for what that discussion is going to look like, and make sure that, to me, and that's the thing. I've seen these negative attack ads, right? And there's none that have happened on the other side, the people, that aren't Brandon Montoya, Eric Moore, and Feel Good. But I think for me, what that means is that you've got to raise up the dialogue of the conversation and not make it about ad hominem attack on people's character. Or, to me, it's not about the individuals necessarily, it's about the issues that we need to talk about. And so I think that's the thing. If you raise up the dialogue and you demand that people be engaged in a way that, you and I can disagree about things, right? And it doesn't mean that you're a bad guy. It doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy. It doesn't mean that he's a bad guy. I think we really need to have that mentality when it comes
And we can still be friends.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
And there are people.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example, right? I was at an event, and there was a woman there, Sherry Hanna, who ran for county board of supervisors, and she lost her race to Harry Oberg. And she asked me a question about growth, and she was very much not necessarily on my side of it. She disagreed with my view on it. And she asked a good question. I was like, okay, I tried to answer the question, but it's a forum, so you don't have a lot of time to interact with people, right? She sent me an email about something later, and I said, hey, I thought you asked a really good question about growth, and I really appreciate your take on that. And I said, why don't we go meet me at Lone Spur? We'll have breakfast. I'm going to drop this was back when my son was still in preschool, before school got out for the end of the year. I said, meet me at Lone Spur. Let's have breakfast and we'll talk. And I talked, and she talked, and I listened, and she listened. And I don't know that, I don't think Sherry Hannah's going to vote for me probably, but that's okay. That's okay. I mean, I think that's the thing. I don't know about you, but I've lived here since I was like 11, and I know what it feels like to live in a small town here. And part of why I'm doing this is because I've seen some of that change. I'll tell you, one of the things that was most exciting for me when I was, getting signatures. So you have to get signatures to get on the ballot, right? You had to get 900, but everyone says, well, get, 1,100 or 1,200. So I'm down on the square. It was still kind of wintry weather, right? So one weekend we're down there and it's like, blowing snow on us, and we're like trying to get the pens to work, and we're like, here, a sign, and holding like umbrellas around people. But then one weekend there was this woman, she comes and she says, we're on the square by the city hall, and she says, I said, and I meet people and I want to learn about what's important to them because I'm running. And I said, hey, nice to meet you. I said, how long you lived in Prescott? She says, oh, I've lived in Prescott since 1968. I said, oh, wow, that's you've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And she says, yeah, I used to teach over there. And she points over to the Mile High Middle School. I said, oh, I used to go to school over there. And she said, oh, well, were you in the 7th grade science there? I said, yeah, I was. And she said, well, I'm Mrs. Gully. And I was like, Mrs. Gully? And my 7th grade science teacher signed my petition. And that's, I think what people sometimes forget about Prescott, because you're just in the routine and the day-to-day grind, is that we have a really special community in that way, right? Like where you can, like, I saw people that I hadn't seen in years when I started doing stuff like this. And people call me up and say, hey, you're running for city council. That's so exciting. And again, they might not vote for me, but like, that's the community we have. And that's the community that I'm passionate about where we live.
Nice. Okay, so the reason why I'm very passionate, I am a born and raised citizen, in Yavapai Regional Medical Center.
Nice.
And the things that I have seen is very much like a lot of change. But I personally, as a person that lives here, want to go ahead and live as every free human should possibly live.
Sure.
Come here, go to work, take care of your family, have some fun times, and enjoy the freaking environment.
Right.
That's ultimately my number ones. I mean, of course, we have to, figure out who's going to be cleaning what and stuff like that. That's as far as I think that the politicians in general or city council have to take care for it. I mean, I don't know any other agendas that they're supposed to be a part of, but it seems like there's a lot of like tension on, defunding the police. One of the groups that were that invited you are literally those people that are wanting to go ahead and just throw shade at our police officers. Can you tell me how you feel about that?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked that question, Senator Chain. It's a good question, and it's an important thing to think about. For me, we have a great law enforcement community here. In fact, when I was going through Prescott area leadership in 2016, I had the opportunity to get to know and do some different learning objectives with Amy Bonney, right? And this was when she was the deputy chief of police. Now she went from being interim to the chief of police. And I've also had, I'm sure anyone who's lived in Prescott long enough, a few interactions. None of them have with police. None of them, for me, have ended in the back of a police car. but
Good.
yeah, but to me, I think I personally know a couple of people who either work for the sheriff's department or work for the police department, and these people are doing good work. And I think we need to find ways to really rise up and support the good work that they do. And also, I look at defund the police is not something that I'm about or a part of, but I look at what Sheriff Masher did for the Yavapai County, right? So Sheriff Masher launched this recidivism program in, I want to say 2014-ish, maybe. I might have the year wrong, but prior to him retiring from the sheriff's department. And one of the things he did was with the recidivism program is found a way to, maybe you're driving down Gail Gardner, right? And you see a lady pushing a shopping cart and she's yelling at traffic, right? And you're like, whoa, that lady's going to cause some problems, right? So your first impulse is maybe to pick up your phone and say, hey, like there's some crazy lady. Well, maybe she's got a mental health issue. Maybe she's got a drug issue, who knows, right? But what Sheriff Masher did was he created a diversion program that is actually probably one of the best ones in the state, to be perfectly honest. And so I think we need to look at the good work that our law enforcement is doing and really highlight that and say, hey, these are people who they live in our community, they support our community, and we need to kind of reciprocate that support and acknowledge the good work that they're doing.
That's awesome. Okay, so now, I mean, technically, what are you going to do when they actually start acting like that? I mean, these groups are really, very, really active, man. Are you down for them, or you're not down for them? Are you going to allow them to start causing these agitators? That's what I call them, agitators in our community. Our community has never seen so much agitation since the last couple of years, and I'm thinking, like, where's this coming from? Why is it here? And I feel like politics has never really had a huge place here, but then all of a sudden this last year came, and I was like,
suddenly everyone has an opinion.
Is there a freaking gang warfare going on, man? I mean, I'm sincerely like that person right now where I'm like, do I need to join a group or something, man? I mean, like, sincerely, when people outlash like that, it's scary.
I think I would say, for me, we have to have respectful discourse, right? And that's really important. And I think the other thing is everyone has a First Amendment right to speak their mind. Now, that doesn't mean that what they have to say is right or based in fact or whatever, right? But I think we need to say, okay, people can speak their mind. I think we can do it in a way that doesn't feel like people are being attacked, And I guess that's what I would say is, to me, what I would say to this group. And again, I went and talked to Prescott Indivisible once. We were focused on water growth, and transparency in government. That was it. That was the whole course of our topic. We didn't talk about anything else. And I'll tell you, people are so concerned about these issues that I'm not talking about anything else. Every so often I'll get a question like, hey, what do you think about critical race theory? What do you think about illegal immigration? But the vast majority of people realize that this election is really focused on growth in water primarily. And then I would say transparency in government is another issue that's kind of come up. But I guess what I would say to those folks, at Prescott Indivisible or any group, whether on either side, is that, listen, if you want to be effective, you gotta bring people in, you gotta kind of acknowledge that there's different viewpoints, and you gotta, to me, you gotta put your arm around people's shoulders and say, hey, San Martin, this is how I feel about this. And and then engage in a dialogue, right? The way for constructive politics and constructive, community, in my mind, is to listen to everybody. It's not an accident that my slogan on my signs and on my, my buttons is leadership that listens. To me, I think in some ways what you're describing is the effect of people siloing off and putting their blinders on and not engaging with their fellow citizens and their fellow communities, fellow people in their community. I think we really need to have an approach that says, all right, I disagree with you about this, right? You feel this way, I feel this way. But that doesn't mean I hate you or that you're a bad person or that I think it can be respectful. People can disagree, right? And I'll go back to what I said at the beginning. When I look at the people who are running this race, the 8 people that stepped up and said, yeah, I'll go through the fire. I'll put myself through this. They're in their hearts, I think they're good people, and they really care about this community. Trust me, having run in this race so far, and we're 2 weeks out from the primary day at this point. I'm knocking on doors, asking people to vote for me, and a lot of people are like, I've already voted. It is happening, right? So having run a huge leg of this campaign already, I will tell you, it is not easy, right? And it's especially not easy if you've got a job. It's not easy if you've got kids at home. it's not a lot that, and by the way, the big grand prize at the end is if you work as,
More scrutiny.
more scrutiny,
Yeah.
and if you get elected, you get a whopping $400 a month for your paycheck, right? Like, I mean, no one's doing this for like, power and money, really, right? It's a grind. And so to me, I think that what that means is we've got to like kind of look at it and say, the people who are doing this, they're doing it not for some sort of malevolent motivation.
So what set you off to make you want to do this? Because it's a lot of pain. What made you want to do this?
Well, so for me, I'm unlike some San Martin. I wasn't born here, right? So, but I did go to middle school here and have lived here pretty much ever since. And I guess for me, I look at what is happening in our community, the rate of growth that we're experiencing, which, respectful people can disagree about whether that's a good rate of growth or not. But in my opinion, I guess I see the changes that are happening in Prescott, and I look at those changes and I say, gosh, I feel like we're losing that sense of our character a little bit. And I want to help make sure that we kind of maintain that part of our character. And I also, I don't know, to me, again, I'll go back to Prescott area leadership, right? Organization started by Ron Barnes and Jim Howard, right? Jim Howard's father of Joe Howard, who's the superintendent. He was the superintendent of the school district probably before I was alive. And so, so they started this organization, Prescott area leadership. And the idea of Prescott area leadership was servant leadership, right? Where what leaders do, they want to first educate people about what's going on in the community so that they can be leaders, right? That's number one objective. Number two is make sure that they're servant leaders. Well, what's a servant leader, right? That sounds kind of weird. Well, a servant leader is this idea of a leader who isn't all about taking credit for themselves and being like, hey, I'm Brandon Montoya and look how great I've done and I'm the best. It's about saying, hey, you know what? There are great people in our community. San Martin's one of them. Eric's one of them. Here are the things they're doing. Here are the parts that they're contributing to the community. Here's someone else who's doing something similar. Like, here's how we come together as a community, and it lifting up our entire community. And so to me, that's what a servant leader does. And so I was pretty involved with my Prescott Friendship Rotary Club. In fact, San Martin came a couple times to our club. We got a good club. A lot of older folks, but we're 70 plus. You're welcome to come back anytime. We still take membership applications.
Daniel came in and says, hey, you should come back.
Yeah. No, it's a great club. And we meet on Tuesdays at the resort at noon, just a little Prescott Friendship Rotary plug. Mm-hmm. But I was president of that club. And being president of that club, you have to be the person who gets up every week and talks about, kind of run the MC for the meeting. But you also have to, be on the foundation board. You have to be on the club board. You have to make decisions. And Rotary has this motto that they've had for years, and they're kind of getting away with it because I guess they've done some research and found this doesn't pull with millennials as well as it should. But
no,
but the motto is service above self, right? And so to me, that's kind of what to answer your question. I know I'm taking a long time.
No, it's good. Yeah.
So service above self. So to me, I think about how far I've come in my life in this community, how much support I've gotten from other people in this community, whether it was, someone hiring me for a job and giving me a chance, or someone giving me a promotion at a job, or, someone saying, hey, I believe in the idea you have for your business. Here's some proof of concept. I'm going to be your customer. Or, even business mentors. I think of people like Ken Lane, right? Like Ken Lane's a huge, one of the things people know about Ken Lane, by the way, the guy behind the scenes is a huge mentor to a lot of other business people. If you have a trouble with your business, if you're not sure how to do something, one, you're not going to find very many marketers that are better than Ken Lane. Two, he's willing to give up his time because he walks that walk of service above self. And so to me, this was a natural extension of how I could continue to serve my community.
It's good.
There's a lot of cool things that are happening in Prescott as far as events and businesses. We get obviously notifications all the time of new red ribbon cuttings. I mean,
sure.
We did 2 last week. Yeah, it was crazy.
Every day 2 last week. I mean, these are the things that are introducing to our community in a big way. I just think that the community needs a little bit more effectiveness. I don't think that the council that was doing it, but I guess the biggest conversation right now is obviously growth. So with that being said, what are the expectations as far as when you get into city council? Are you going to stop a lot of the things that are happening?
Well, I guess the question is how.
Yeah.
Right. No, those are great. Those are both really great questions.
And then to follow up on that one, obviously the cost of living is affecting, those people that being born and raised here.
Sure.
I got more than just one freaking brother and sister.
But most of those people are moving out.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys both. I grew up here too, obviously, and I can count on one hand the amount of people I went to school with who still live here, because it's hard to build a career here. It's hard to, if you do build a career here, buy a house here, live here. And Jessica Hall is actually, that's one of the things that I think she and I agree about. Is that like we need to look at that, right? But to go back and answer the first question about growth and water and how are you going to affect that change, right? So I think as much as people want to say, well, you're anti-growth or you're not pro-growth. It's not that I'm anti-growth at all. Like I really am not. What I am is about strategic and smart growth, right? And what does that look like? Like I'll give you an example of what people complain about with growth that happens too fast, right? Let's say that one of the issues that come up is getting people off of septic, in their neighborhoods that have septic tanks and getting them into sewer, which is great, right? People, but it's a complicated issue. But one of the people who was in the neighborhoods that was talking about that, they said, well, here's what's frustrating me, right? The city says I have to get off my septic tank. Okay, maybe I'm into doing that, but then they come and they pave my entire road, right? Well, then if I'm going to get onto sewer, they're going to have to tear that up. Like that's the kind of thing that frustrates people about government, right? Is when government doesn't work effectively and efficiently. And so I guess to me, we need to have what I would refer to as strategic vision when it comes to growth and water. And here's the thing about water, and this is, I'm not a hydrologist, I'm not a water expert, and I knew that going into this. And so to me, what that meant was, if I'm going to do my job effectively, and this is true, I think, of city council generally, but probably any political position, you can't know everything, you can't be an expert about everything. But what you can do and what you need to do is reach out to the people who know more than you. And so one of the first things I did when I knew water was a big issue in Prescott, I reached out and I called people and I said, hey, you're a hydrologist. You live in this community. What do you think? I called Leslie Grasser at the city. I said, hey, what's going on with the water policy here? What do you think about it? I called, John Mungerlow in Prescott Valley and said, hey, what do you know about water? And so I think you have to approach it from that standpoint. The vast majority of people I've talked to have said that the water we have, the water table we have is going downward, right? And it's not like you're going to go and turn your faucet on your house tomorrow and not have water come out, right? That's not, it's not that dire. But I have a 5-year-old son, and I wonder what that's going to look like for him, right? And it's that close, right? The Paulden gauge that measures the Verde River in Paulden is at the lowest level it's been in 50 years. And to me, that's a canary in the coal mine, right? It's like if you're driving your car and the check engine light comes on, right? You can kind of be like, whatever, right? And you keep driving. But then all of a sudden, if you see smoke starting to come out of your hood, that's something you got to do something about. And so I guess when it comes to water, so to answer your question, I'm sorry, I'm using a metaphor to get there.
Yeah.
But to me, what do you do about it? Well, in, I think, 2017, 2018, maybe it was 2019, we did a massive change to our water policy.
Loophole.
Well, so what what it was there's this concept of what's called an acre foot of water. Okay, so imagine an acre of land out there, right? And then imagine it with 1 foot of water across the entire acre. That's an acre foot of water. It's a lot of water. So we determined, historically our policy for the city of Prescott has been to allocate 2 to 3 houses, single family houses per acre foot of water. Back in 2017, 2018, 2019, I'm not sure the exact year, we changed that to increase it to about 5. And if you look at that, that is accounting for the increasing amount of growth that we've had in North Prescott. And so to me, what I worry about, given what I'm seeing, given that Prescott and the Southwest in general is in a severe drought, is that sustainable? Is that the future that we kind of want? And I look at, and this is just me, by the way, because I've lived here for a long time, just like you, San Martin. I look at the type of housing that's going out in North Prescott, and I say, gosh, this doesn't look like the traditional housing that we've experienced in Prescott. The houses are really close together. They're like tightly packed. You sneeze, and your neighbor on the right and left both say bless you.
It looks like Phoenix.
It looks like Phoenix, or some people would say it looks like California. And so to me, I think that there's you got to manage that kind of growth. And I think looking at the water policy is the first way you manage that growth. Is you say, hey, let's pull back on the reins a little bit. Let's slow down. Let's make sure that we do that. And then let's really have the city council engaged in the master plan of these development communities. And what that looks like for me is to say, okay, what do we need? Do we need a hospital in this subdivision? In this development? Do we need a police station? Do we need a fire station? One of the things that happened to me, I think you were at the Founding Fathers forum that happened, right? After that forum, 2 gentlemen came up to me who were members of the firefighter union, and they said, how do you feel about more police stations and fire stations? And I said, I was honest. I said, I hadn't really, you're the first person who's asked me about this. I don't know. And they said, well, you talk about growth a lot. And I said, yeah, I sure do. And they said, well, if the growth is happening the way you're saying it's happening, it seems like a natural consequence would be that we would need more police and fire. And when I thought of it, I was like, yeah, actually that sounds right. And so to me, I guess what I think about in that context is you have to have, again, this is going to sound very political or like a politician line, but you have to have strategic vision about this thing. You can't just kind of like the city. And let me go to this, right? Someone asked me about the draft agreement with the AAD development, right? And they said, would you have voted for the draft agreement that passed last week, 7-0? I said, yeah, I would have. But the reason why is because it took a lot of time. They thought it through. There was a lot of back and forth between the developer and the city. There was a lot of back and forth with a group like Save the Dells, where they were giving input and they were really saying, hey, this is like a natural resource here in Prescott. We need to maintain it. We need to make sure. They got a good deal out of it, but it took time. And that's the thing. Sometimes strategic vision and planning, it's not super sexy, because it's like, you don't just snap your fingers and there it is, right? It's you gotta plod along and do the hard work.
Yeah. So, all right. So real quick, because we're about at time.
Sure. It goes fast.
Yeah, it does go fast. So, I mean, obviously this is open to everybody, so thank you for Brandon coming in. Is there any last things you want to say?
I think that what the ultimate last, I guess, words would be, just to understand that everything that you do today will affect us tomorrow.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we're actually seeing a lot of this stuff in the whole world. And it's just something that, at one point in time, everybody's going to be frustrated. And they're going to
I mean, there are plenty of people who are going to vote for me who are going to be upset if I win later on and I do things that they don't like. And that's, I would say for me, if you're doing it right, no one's going to be happy all the time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can tell you that. That's for sure. I'd be like, Martin, you want to run for office? I'm like, oh, heck no, man.
I take it from me. It might not.
Would you like a beating? Yes.
No, I'm ready for this life.
Well, I want to say thank you to both you guys. Thank you to Prescott Times for having me on here. This is a great space you guys have, and I'm happy to have seen it and been a part of it. I love that you guys you're filling, I think, that niche of getting information out locally to people in a digital format that people, it's nice.
Yeah, they seem to be liking it. They give us a lot of great compliments and stars. But with that being said, Eric, do you got any last minute things to say?
I think this is great. Again, I think all the people running should take advantage of this forum that you've opened up for them. Especially, I know Phil came out and he mentioned it was going to come out again.
Yeah, we got to reach out to him as soon as possible.
But I think take advantage of it. It's free.
Yeah, you got to get the word out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Come out and at least message us and let us know if you want to be on here, if you are watching today. But with that being said, man, I got a lot to do today. It's Monday. And if you guys want to see all the things that are happening right now, go to theprescotttimes.com. We have some awesome stories that just been posted up by Maria. She took the Verdi train.
That's such a cool thing.
Yeah. It's part of Yavapai County. We like to cover all of Yavapai County in general, especially when it comes down to events. So with that being said, peace, love, and happiness. Let it not be war. And remember, love always wins. Check this out.
Welcome to the 863 Morning Show with your host,